Hi everyone, welcome back to another USMLE question video. This time it's a biostats and epidemiology question. Let's start by reading the vignette. A total of 4,700 participants were enrolled in a study on the cognitive side effects of amitriptyline. All participants were assessed for cognitive function at baseline and at 1-year follow-up. The table below shows a summary of the findings. Which of the following is the correct interpretation of these findings? Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video here, give this a try, and resume when you're ready. Alright, so the first thing you may have noticed from this vignette is that this is a prospective cohort study, and so there's a good chance we might be asked about the incidence or the relative risk. Now let's look at the answer choices. So the first answer choice states that the incidence of mild cognitive impairment among those who are taking amitriptyline is 0.25, and among those who are not, it is 0.04. Now, unfortunately, in questions like this, if you look at the other answer choices, it seems like we're going to have to calculate the incidence and relative risk to get the right answer. And so that's what I'm going to quickly do over here. So let's start by calculating the incidence of mild cognitive impairment in those who used amitriptyline. Now we're looking at two values here, 650 and 2,600. The incidence is basically the number of new cases divided by the people at risk of getting the disease or whatever outcome we're looking for, like mild cognitive impairment in this case. But you gotta be careful. When you're calculating the incidence here, it's going to be 650 divided by the total number of exposed people, or the people who used amitriptyline, which is 650, because those are all the people that are at risk of developing mild cognitive impairment. And so the total here would be 3,250. So that's 650 divided by 3,250. And that would give us 0.2 or 20%. So I could already tell that the first answer choice is incorrect without having to calculate the incidence in the other group of patients. Let's look at choice B. So the risk of mild cognitive impairment was 6 times greater among participants who were taking amitriptyline compared with participants who are not taking amitriptyline. So this is basically another way of saying that the relative risk is 6. Now again, as I told you, this is a cohort study, so it's no surprise that we've already calculated the incidence and now we're required to calculate the relative risk. So now I have to calculate the incidence in the other patient group who did not use amitriptyline. And in that case, it would be 58 divided by, again, 58 plus 1,392. That would be 1,450. This would give us 0.04 or 4%. Previously, we said that the incidence in the amitriptyline group was 20% or 0.2. So now we have to divide 0.2 by 0.04 because the relative risk equals the probability of the outcome in the exposed group divided by the probability of the outcome in the unexposed group, or the incidence in the unexposed group. So let's write this down. Relative risk is 0.2 in the exposed group, the incidence is 0.2, or the probability of developing mild cognitive impairment was 0.2 divided by 0.04, and that would give us 5. So choice B is wrong. Let's look at choice C. It states that there was a 400% increase in the risk of mild cognitive impairment among those who were taking amitriptyline compared with those who were not. Notice that it says 400% increase in the risk. Now, if you think about it, we could assume that the baseline group who are not taking amitriptyline are 100%, and the group taking amitriptyline is 500%. Because as we said, the risk is 5 times greater because the relative risk is 5. So the difference between 500% and 100% is 400%, which means there is a 400% increase in the risk for mild cognitive impairment. Now, another way you could think about this is that a 100% increase in mild cognitive impairment would double the incidence. And so a 200% increase would triple the incidence, a 300% increase would quadruple the incidence, and 400% increase would make it 5 times the incidence. So this makes choice C the correct answer. And choice D is obviously incorrect because here the relative risk is 2. So yeah, that's it. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.